Hi, you must have just heard a beautiful rendition of Atma Shatakam or NirvanaShatakam as some people call it. It's a beautiful shloka, song of the soul. I was privileged enough to hear it the first time when I was very young. I was just 20, and there was this beautiful hall designed by the famous Surendra, the architect of Rabindranath Tagore. The hall itself was on the bank of a river which was 1 kilometer wide, the river Ganges. And in that total silence, there were 300 school students singing this beautiful shloka. It was easily an unforgettable experience. And since I spent 4 years in that place where I first heard this, over time the shloka intrigued me. It made me question many assumptions. Its meaning started growing within me. And 30 years later, when I sat down to write my first book called Halfway Up the Mountain, I started with this idea that if there was this young girl who is a social refugee, she's come from the village to the city with nothing. But imagine if her father believed that this shloka could be her anchor. If she understood the meaning of this shloka could be her anchor while she went through the various struggles in her life. How would that story work out? So that is what the story is. I mean, I call the book Halfway Up the Mountain, which means mediocre. I mean, the thesis was that you can be very talented as a human being, but very mediocre as a human being. Very talented as an artist, very talented as a writer, very talented as a photographer, and yet very mediocre as a human being. So here is this young girl. Her father has abandoned her for reasons she doesn't understand. Her husband abandons her. Her young son finds a new mother in music. So he goes off, and as she goes through these ups and downs in her life, it is the shloka which provides anchor. Its meaning grows within her, it unfurls within her, and brings her face to face with most of the questions that we all deal with. And I realized as I wrote that book that whether it is the story of a girl or whether it's feminism, actually the struggle for identity, for finding who you are, is gender agnostic. I mean, therefore, in a way, you don't have to be a woman to be a feminist. So long as you really are obsessed, or you really want to find out who you are in a larger sense, not just in the sense of the society as it is here and now. We always say that our relationships are our best mirrors. Our identity is reflected in our relationships, and in the shloka you are forced to confront this. Na mata pita na deva na lokam, na bandhur na mitram na guru na eva shishyam. It's like a shock that I'm neither father nor mother, I'm not brother, and then you are suddenly forced to look within and say, therefore, who am I then, if it is not that? So the shloka has a reference to the external structure of our relationships, whether it's a man or a woman. And once you have started exploring all of that, then who am I if I'm not this relationship? So in the book, what happens is that the relationships that nurture her the most have no names, have no labels. And I myself in my lifetime have experienced that it's not, you don't even know whether you call this person a friend or a brother. That relationship has no names, but somehow that has been the most nurturing, the one that has allowed you to grow and flower within you. And then comes a part of the shloka that looks at the internal structure of the identity. It starts like that. It says, Manobuddhi ahankara chittani naham nacha shrotra jeve nacha grahana netre. And to me it was like a visceral shock. If I'm neither mind nor intellect nor ego nor consciousness, then what the hell am I? It really forces you to confront yourself and find out then what is the internal structure of identity. And then suddenly it kind of reveals itself that the notion of I, this sense of I that you have, is the fundamental division. It is the dualism that exists within us and in many ways plays out as a dualism in society. I versus somebody who is not my religion, not my caste, not my class, not my age, not my country. And that dualism that is within you is the dualism that is reflected in your relationships outside, which is roughly what happens to her. And it's finally when her name is Maya, the protagonist, when she realizes that she's not defined by the Mangal Sutra that she wears, she's not defined by her son's relationship to her or his fame, she's not defined by what her father was, that she is whole within herself. So, in a way, it is the culmination of her journey from an 8-year-old or 9-year-old whose father abandoned her but left her with this beautiful, meaningful, transcendental shloka. I hope you enjoyed it too. I hope it triggers your journey into understanding your relationships, your sense of identity, and I hope finally you discover that final sense of non-dualism. Thank you.